Okay, welcome everyone to another Toy Collector Chat. Tonight we've got kind of a unique presentation. We're going to talk about Allis-Chalmers and Gleaner combines, and one of our own toy collectors here in Ontario, Jason Bengough, is going to share a bit not only of the history and the knowledge of these combines, but he's got most of them in his collection, I believe. So I've noticed in talking with Jason in advance that he's got some unique things to show us. And if we keep an eye open, we're going to see some 3D printing of combines that have been made. So we're quite excited to learn more about those. So thank you so much for sharing your time with us in preparing this presentation, Jason. And we'll share our screen. And if you just want to come on and introduce yourself before I do that, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm Jason Bengough. I've been toy collecting since elementary school. I first got into collecting the toy Gleaner combines way back in 1996. I bought my first Gleaner over at the Woodstock, Ontario Toy Show sale and auction. It was a Gleaner N6 with the small decals on it, which you'll see in the presentation tonight. At the time when I went and bought that combine, I did not think that it would lead me into collecting the brand of the Gleaner combine line. Hyde Brothers Farm Equipment right here in town was a long-time Gleaner dealership, and they're still in business selling Gleaner combines today. Gleaner was a strong brand of combine in our area. I remember one year, Dad remembers back in town when they sold 28 new Gleaner combines back in the days of Allis-Chalmers. So they had a lot of L2s and M2s, and one farmer had the Gleaner G, which was one of the biggest combines Gleaner had at the time. Back in the day, it had like a 6-row corn head on it, which at that time was a big combine. And my things have changed, and Gleaner is still continuing to this day, but we will continue on with the presentation, and I hope you enjoy it tonight. The first picture is just the picture of the cover of a Gleaner L2, and then one of the Spec Cast S-series Gleaner combines. Interesting facts about Gleaner. Founded in 1923 by George Ernest and Curtis Baldwin. First combine was mounted on the Henry Ford's Fortson tractor. They were acquired by Allis-Chalmers in 1955. Allis-Chalmers wanted the Gleaner combine because they were well-known, reputable combine, and they wanted something to go along with their all-crop machines. Many innovations brought to market, including the first Class 7 combine and the first 12-row corn head offered to market. They are the only ones with the only transverse rotary combine ever to be built. IH and International Harvester, Deere, New Holland, they all had their rotors running the axle or the length of the combine. Gleaner's was different, where they had it running the width of the combine, known as the natural flow system, where it would actually go the way it would come into the combine is the header would cut it, it would feed in naturally instead of twisting it to go the opposite way into the machine. They are the lightest combines on the market currently. They currently go up to a Class 8. S98 is the largest on the market right now. And this year is the 99th anniversary of the Gleaner combine line. Next year in 2023, it'll be 100 years of when they started out. Toy manufacturers or replica Gleaners that you will see tonight. The Ertl company of Dyersville, Iowa, they built the 132nd and 164th Gleaners. Scale models of Dyersville, Iowa, they did 124th replica Gleaners. Ertl 132nd Gleaner models, combines model C2 and G. The C2 Gleaners, the first one was the C2, and you can tell the difference between the C2 and the G is the C2 had the rounded back end, and the engine was offset, and they had the open reels on the end of the grain heads, whereas the G had a square end, and it had the closed end on the grain heads. Here's just an example of the two different versions of the C and the G. On the left here, on the left is the Gleaner C2, where it had the rounded back end and the engine is offset. And the Gleaner G had the engine square on with the combine. And the G's used a chain to drive the reel, whereas the C2 with the open reels, it had like a belt to run the reel. The Gleaner, and there's another view of the back end of the combines to show it. The Gleaner, these were the first two replica Gleaner combines made by Ertl. One self-propelled combines, and the first Gleaner and the Gleaners that were made. Next, Doug. That's just another variation of the C2 with the crossbar in the window. They made several different variations, and a more common variation, you can find them a lot. Next one, Doug. That's just another picture of the two combines. And these are just different, the box variations of it. One with the C2. Regular, they would have. And that's just another variation there with the corn head and the grain head, where you could interchange the grain and the corn head together. And that's the rare box variation with the yellow box variation with the grain and the corn head. Ertl 132nd, L2, L3 Gleaner variations. That's the regular version that Ertl made with the orange wheel rims. For some reason, Ertl skipped over the L and M, which would have followed the G, but they went right to the L2, which was the next combine. Next slide. That's the rare white version, white-reeled version of the L2. Basically a mistake version from Ertl, where they ended up using white rims off the 1480 International Combine 132nd and put on this L2 combine to use up spare parts. So that's why that one had them. That one is the L2, another mistake variation from Ertl, where it has a black reel instead of a gray reel. Another, again, Ertl was using up spare parts for that combine there. That's a version of the regular version. Again, just the regular version. That's the L3. They brought out the L3 with the orange wheel rims, and then that's the Deutz version of the L3, as you can see there. Next one. That's the orange wheel rim Gleaner L3. Another mistake variation. 164th Gleaner R50. That was the first 164th Gleaner Ertl's made. They only did it with the orange stripe. That's another close-up picture of it right there. Next one. That's the 70th anniversary Gleaner R52 combine. Next one. That's just showing the different variations of the R52 that was done. 70th anniversary. One with the Deutz Alice name on the back. The one in the box doesn't have the Deutz Alice name on the decal on the back or on the top of the combine. The P62. That's in the later box version, and that's a custom corn head that came, standy corn head on it that I put on it. They made two different. That's just a box set of the Gleaner harvesting set that just came out recently with the C62 tractor and later versions. That was the A76 combine that came out. That came out 2010, 2011. So that was next one. That was a gold A86 combine. That was done for Healy Farm Equipment way back in 2006, I believe. It came in a set with the a Massey 9895 combine, because that Gleaner was based off the Massey design, and it was only sold in a set with the Massey combine. They're very, very hard to find. I don't have one of these in my collection currently. I'd like to get one, but the only way to have got it would have had to buy it in a set with the Massey, and I didn't want the Massey version, but there's just to show they made a gold version of that combine. Next, and that they also did a gold A76 for the Blinky and Hurst did for the Pennsylvania Farm Show, I believe. I don't know how many of these were made. I've never seen one in person, but I found it interesting that they did make a gold version of this Gleaner as well. Okay, next, Doug. These are the ones, PA Farm Show Gleaner A76s that were done. They did a dusty version, and then they did a black chrome version of the A76 combines for that particular show. And that's just another harvesting set that came out recently with the A86 Challenger set that just recently came out last year. Okay, Spec Cast Gleaners. The Spec Cast Gleaners were the farm show ones. These came out in recent years, S98. Next, Doug. These are just different variations. They made S78, S88, and S98. That S88 is in the black wrap, which was a special colored option you can get on the Gleaners. These are the most highest detailed Gleaner combines in 1/64th out yet. The Spec Cast done. They've done a real nice job on these. They've made different variations of these combines. They're worth adding to it if you're looking for 1/64th ones. And these are the S98 variations that are out right now. One's got a regular gray colored and one a black variation as well. That one there is Spec Cast 1/16th Gleaner A that was done in resin form. Spec Cast only did one of these 1/16th before, and it's a decent model. I don't have one personally, but I've seen it. Next one, Doug. And there's a company in Britain's Chestnut Miniatures back about 2004 did the British Gleaner. This is a Gleaner A or C it was called, and they were painted orange like this. All the Gleaners that were sold in Britain were painted orange and sold in Alice Chalmers colors, interestingly over the silver galvanized steel at the time. This one is very, very hard to find. I've been looking for years to find this combine, and I'm still on the hunt to find it. It's in 1/32nd. I don't know how many of these were made, but I'd really like to find one at some time. But that just gives you an idea of what the orange British Gleaner looked. The straw, where the straw comes out the back, was wider to handle the heavier straw and heavier conditions over in Britain with the heavier wheat yields. Next one, Doug. Now we're into 1/24th scale Gleaner combines. I'm going to spend a couple of minutes talking about these combines here. I've been very privileged, very lucky to have been able to find two of these combines, which I'm going to explain in a minute. The one combine is in the middle is the regular production Gleaner N6 that's got a plastic cab, body, and roof and everything. These two combines here, I'm going to explain in the next slide. Can you, next slide, please, Doug? This one here is a Scale Models Gleaner N6 pre-production prototype. The combine is all plastic. The body is plastic, the auger is plastic, everything is plastic. The wheels are different, the decals are different, and it's all plastic. It is very, very light. This combine was purchased through Gerard Auctions in February of 2013. I was told by Gerard's it came from an ex-employee of Scale Models, and for some reason he ended up getting a hold of this combine, and it was one of a pre-production combine that right before they were going to start the N6 line of combines, before Scale Models brought out their first 1/24th Gleaner. I don't know too much more about it. I don't know if this combine was actually taken to Alice Chalmers for approval. They wouldn't say too much about the history of it. All I know is it's a prototype combine, and I'm trying to figure out more about this and whether it was actually taken to Alice Chalmers for approval. Next one, Doug. That's another view of the plastic N6. You can see it's got the skinnier tires. Decals are different, and even everything's different on it. It's all plastic. It's a very, very light combine. I've never displayed this one at shows before. It's just because it's a prototype, and as far as I know, it's only one of a kind out there. Next one, Doug. This is the Scale Models second prototype of the all-metal Gleaner N6. This one's got a metal cab. It's got the more decals that are correct, closer to the production N6 that we all know. It's similar to the production N6, except that the cab is all metal. And it's, again, it's one of the only one I know of at this time. And these were both pre-production N6s that came from Scale Models. And this one was also bought through Gerard Auctions in February 2013. Next one, Doug. That's just another picture of the prototype N6. And there's the two of the combines together, where you can see the plastic one had the narrow tires. The metal roofed N6 has the wider tires on it as well, closer to production. And I'm very happy to have been able to get these combines. This is an N6 Series 3 Gleaner combine. It's got the Series 3 decal on it and has a 60th anniversary logo on the combine that's inside the box. You can't see it very clearly, but there is a 60th anniversary logo on it. There's the small letter N6 Gleaner. This is the one I bought through Woodstock, Ontario Toy Show back in '96, the one that helped me start getting into the Gleaner combine line, and I still have it today. Then they moved on to the R6 Gleaner after Deutz Alice took over Alice Chalmers in 1985. They brought out the R6. This is the rare white version, cab version, using up spare parts from the N6 combines. This one's got a white roof from the N6, just using up spare parts. That's the only change with it, but it's a different variation if you're looking for different variations on the combines. Next one, and this is the regular R6 Gleaner with the gray roof. This is a more common version of the R6 combine. Next, and this is the R60 Gleaner that came out later following the R6. A gray roof, two-wheel drive tires, and you can get these. These were sold with either a grain and corn head, or you could buy it with just a grain head. Next one. This was a special combine that was done for the dealers sales award, or dealers meeting, team approach and product sales. They only made one of 300 of these, and they're all labeled, they're serial numbered on the cab, and it's a chrome plated combine. Mine is 163 out of 300. The next slide will show, I'll read the letter in the next slide. This commemorative Hawk Gleaner combine was manufactured for Deutz Alice by Scale Models of Dyersville, Iowa in May of 1990. Commissioned by the Minneapolis Regional Dealers, Scale Models was instructed to build a limited production run of silver-plated Hawk Edition toy replicas. This special replica is to emphasize the TAPS sales program held in the summer and fall of 1990. Those dealers in the states of Wisconsin, Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, Oregon, Washington, and Alaska participated in this program of team approach and product sales. That it's signed by Daniel McLean, president of Scale Models at the time, Robert Ratliff, the president of Deutz Alice Corporation, and later president of ACO. And it's got the serial number of what it was, 163, and then O.W. Gillard, who was regional sales manager of Deutz Alice Corporation at the time. So the paperwork goes with it. And there's a close-up picture of the Silverhawk R60 combine. Next one, Doug, please. That's the shelf model of the R60 Chrome combine. This one came with both grain and corn head. The other changes they made was they incorporated a straw spreader on the back and put rear wheel assist tires on it to make it different from the first R60 version that came out. It's got the Hawk logo on it there to advertise for the new P3 processor for the cylinder that came, or for the rotary system that came out that year. Next one, Doug. In 1991, they upgraded after ACO took over Deutz Alice. They changed the decal, and they changed the decal to an orange stripe on the R60s. So they only made these ones for a year or so with the orange stripe decal. So there's what it looked like with the orange stripe decal. Next one, Doug, please. And that's an R60 Gleaner orange stripe that was done for the Husker Harvest Days Farm Show Edition in 1992. The only difference between that and the other one is the inscription on the combine, but it is a hard to find variation of a Gleaner to find. Next one. Another Scale Models prototype. This is a Gleaner R62 prototype, factory prototype. Came from the same auction as those two N6s. They used the R60 body, but it's got R62 decals on it. And they actually made a mock-up cab for the R2 series combine and incorporated it onto this model. Again, it's a factory prototype, and as far as I know, it's the only one that's out there like that. So that's another prototype of it. I've seen pictures of that design on the back of a regular R62, and I always thought that was just a picture until I found this prototype of what scale models thought it was going to look like. Next one, Doug, please. There's what the R62 Gleaner did look like when it was into production, different cab. That's the shelf model version with grain and corn heads. Next one. Yeah, that's the Farm Show limited edition R62 Gleaner they did. Chrome wheel rims, handrails and mirrors. They came with both grain and corn head. Next one. That's the Farm Show edition R62 Gleaner they did with gold wheel rims, straw spreader, handrails, and mirrors. And it's just got Farm Show edition, September 26th to the 28th, 1995 on the combine. That's just an R62 Gleaner with a corn head, but there was another mistake from the factory at Scale Models, because the chassis was supposed to be black, but if you can look closely, the chassis is all silver, and then the air screen at the top, it's all silver too. They forgot to paint that black from the factory, so it was just a mistake at the factory on that version. Next one, Doug, please. This is the R62 and R72 combines that came out, Series 2 in 1998, when they updated the decals on the Gleaner combines. This series of combines, they also was the first time Gleaner went and started painting over top with a galvanized steel. That came out in 1998, which was the 75th anniversary at the time. Next one, Doug. And that's just another R60 variation that they also, another mistake variation from the factory. As you can see, the chassis is all silver and should be black. I don't know what went on there. I guess they were out of black paint that day or something, but a bunch of these got out with silver, everything silver on it. Next one, please, Doug. Then they went to the R65 series, 5 series Gleaners in 2002. This is the new product introduction version that's on the cab roof, chrome wheel rims, handrails, and mirrors. Next one, please. And that's the shelf model of the R65 Gleaner with a corn head, and that's the shelf model of the R65. That's the R75 Gleaner that was done for the 2006 Louisville Farm Show edition, as a Farm Show edition with chrome wheel rims. It's kind of hard to find, but it's a nice one to have. Next one, please, Doug. A85 Gleaners, they came out in 2006. This design, at the time, Gleaner wanted an actual rotary combine and wanted a Class 8 combine. Super Series hadn't been introduced yet, so they wanted a Class 8 combine. So they're simply to offer. So they just took the Massey Ferguson 98-95 and repainted it Gleaner silver. And that's the new product introduction version of the combine with duals, chrome wheel rims. That's just a shelf model. Oh, that's the Farm Progress Show 06 version. Same as the introduction model, except single tires. Next version. That's the 85th anniversary of Gleaner that was done in 2008. Gold wheel rims, handrails, and mirrors, and the 85th anniversary logos on it is what separates it from the other versions. Super 7 Gleaner. This was Gleaner actually made one real combine like this, and it was sent out to test the new design of Gleaner combines they were coming out with in 2011. They made 300 of the toy model ones, all painted black like this. They're not serial numbered, but it's on the roof, one of 300 S7 prototype combine there. And that's just a custom 1/64th version with it. Gleaner Super 7 S77, that's just a regular shelf model in regular colors with the corn head. Next one. That was a new product, collector's edition one with chrome wheel rims, handrails, dual wheels, and chrome wheel rims. That's the 90th anniversary of the Gleaner S77 with 90th decals on it, similar as the other version. Next one. That's the S88 Gleaner Super Series Combine, and that was this is the last up-to-date Gleaner and 1/24th of scale models has done yet. They haven't done a S98 yet. It would be nice if they would. But this is the last 1/24th Gleaner that's been made by scale models at this time. Next, custom built models. These are 3D printed 1/64th models. I'll show more details in the next page. Timothy Hoker out of Minnesota makes these 3D printed Gleaners. That's the model of the very first Gleaner combine back in 1923 that was mounted on the Fortson tractor. Next one, Doug, please. Another side picture of the 3D printed Gleaner, Fortson mounted Gleaner combine. That's a Gleaner G that he made up with open station, no cab. It's all 3D printed. That's another version of it. Close up on it. Next, and there's an L3 and L3 and 1/64th that he did up as well. All 3D printed. Another view of it. Of the L3 Gleaner. That's an F2. F2 that he did as well. And that's a Gleaner L that was done that he produced as well. And that's an N5 Gleaners. All that again, that was all 3D printed as well. This one here is 1/16th Gleaner C2 combine, custom built by Wayne Crook out of the United States, out of the US. He builds several different brands, several different combines, and he did a few Gleaners. This is just one of a few that he's built. It's the only one I have in his collection in my collection at this time. It's based off the Gleaner C2 combine. Next, and that's a final picture of the Gleaner C2, another view of the Gleaner combine.
Well, that was great, Jason. Anybody got any questions? Lots of interesting things there that I've learned.
How many combines in total do you have?
In total of Gleaner, I think I'd have around 30, 35.
Looks like you've got a wide variety of scales. So you're focusing on Gleaner and Allis-Chalmers regardless of what scale they are. Is that correct, Jason?
Yeah, that's correct. I also got John Deere as well, and I'm just focusing on certain John Deere ones at the time as well. But Allis-Chalmers and Gleaner has been a big focus as well for my collection.
Very good. I just noticed when you showed that letter, Dan McLean was signing as the president of Scale Models. For those who may be wondering why, Dan was the former son-in-law of Joe Ertl. He was married to Jane Ertl, Joe's daughter, who still runs the office at Scale Models. Since then, they've become divorced and he moved on. But that's the reason you would have seen Dan McLean signing that letter, because for a period of time, he was working at Scale Models as the president.
That's interesting to know about that at the time about that. And I'm curious to learn more about those prototype Gleaner combines that I picked up.
Well, no promises, but I'm pretty sure I can find out the background on those, because I think I know where they came from, and it's all above board. I'm sure I can get the explanation of what they were used for, but I think your hunch is likely correct that they were used as models to show the Allis-Chalmers executives prior to final production. That's quite a common. That's a common thing that happens.
I'd really love to know if one of those combines was actually in was taken to Independence, Missouri, or to the Gleaner plant, to see if it was actually an executive boardroom, or if the engineers that built the combine actually saw that.
Yeah. Well, I know that from time to time, they use the actual blueprints that are supplied by the manufacturers in order to build the replica. My best guess is that it was likely involved with an AC or a Gleaner marketing rep, a product specialist, more so than the engineers at the factory. But I'll try and find out, and if I learn anything, I'll get back to you.
That'd be greatly appreciated, Doug, there, to know the history more about this combine and that.
Yep.
Combines and why they got away, or because I've never seen any others ones like that. And
yeah. Well, it's quite an interesting opportunity that you had to get those. So I mean, with the story, that's the icing on the cake, but even without the story, having a one-of-a-kind item and having even 2 or 3 of them is part of what hobby and the fun of the hobby is all about.
Yeah, it's fun of the hobby for sure. When I saw the 3 of them in the auction, I thought, oh, this can't be. There was an all Alice Chalmers auction down in the States through Gerard's, and I saw them.
Yeah.
I thought, are they really prototypes and that? And then they looked at it and it's one of a kind. And then when they said it was a factory prototype, I said, well, I figured if I can get it. So I ended up bidding on it and ended up getting them. And I've displayed Gleaner combines at shows in the past, but I've never taken these ones to shows before. I'm a little hesitant to take these to shows because of how rare they are and that.
Well, and being plastic, they're kind of fragile, so you want to be careful. So any other questions? Great job, Jason, by the way. Wonderful pictures and nicely put together PowerPoint presentation. I'm sure that took a lot of time and effort on your part, and we appreciate you doing that, especially when you're into your spring work. That's just great that you're able to share with us.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate being able to do that for you, Doug, and hopefully everyone enjoyed it. And it was a pleasure doing it for you, and it was a good presentation.
Well, it's for the group, and as you know, we've recorded this, so others who couldn't be here tonight will hopefully be able to catch up with it when we publish the archive recording. So one last call for any questions or comments.
Hey, Jason, is there any other models out there that you haven't shown tonight that you're still looking for?
Yeah, Chad, there's a few there's a few other variations of that Gleaner that I'm there's a Parts Expo S77 Gleaner I'm missing. There's another Stealth black S7 prototype that I'm missing that's got an employee edition that's on the roof of the cab roof. I'm trying to find one of them at some time. There's a few 64th variations that I'm missing as well, that like those gold variations. I'd like to find one, but I know I won't be able to. They won't go cheap if you find them, and I don't think I'll ever get those ones, but it's nice to see it. You never know what you'll find at the toy show or something like that. I don't know what they're going to do for the 100th anniversary next year. I'm hoping, I've messaged Scale Models a couple of times asking about doing another 124th Gleaner S98 done up for the 100th anniversary next year. Because it'd be nice to see them put a 100th anniversary logo on it. And I'm hoping that they do something next year. At least Spec Cast does something with the 64th versions, but I guess we'll have to wait and see what comes up.
Okay, well, if there's nothing else, we will call it a night, and thank everybody for showing up. If you want to hang around for a little informal chat, you're most welcome to. I can leave this open for a bit, but thanks again, Jason. And we will look forward to seeing everybody next month.